you doing, Internet? I'm B-Nuts, and today we'll be taking a look at the 264th Figma from Max Factory, which is Asuna, the ALO version from Sword Art Online 2, which we also have right here. Taking a quick look at the box, you have the front with the window where you can see some of the contents, the bottom and the top, which have the same picture on it, side with a more relaxed picture of Asuna there, as well as from the back, so one side sword, the other side wand. There on the back we have her in a variety of demonstration poses. Opening up this box reveals it to be a multi-tiered model, with this one which held the wings, main stuff being here. This holds two extra faces, one smiling, the other shouting, as well as this neutral kind of expression, as well as a standard Figma base, a drawn sword, the wand, the scabbard, as well as standard Figma bag, which is very handy, as is the rack of hands, which I definitely appreciate from Figma because Bandai doesn't usually include things like this. So what I have here is a backing that's off of the base, and you can use that with the wings because they don't have a peg of their own. A hilt for the sword that you can use for the scabbard, which is on there. An extra Figma joint because I guess these things tend to break, and so it's useful to have those on it. Here's a closer, better look at the shouting face, looking to the left, smiling happy face. And for the hands, we have a total of 10, including the holding hands that are currently on the figure. We have this peace sign, this relaxed holding with the ring on it, this open splayed hand, left side open splayed hand, again with the ring on it. You can see the ring on there and then on there. And we have two closed fists, another holding hand, closed fist. Included as well is a set of handling and switching instructions, which includes all of the context for this model, everything that comes with Asuna, how to put it together. We want to use which accessory with the hands and how to put it, as well as the sword's handle into the scabbard because it won't fit in with the blade, and it's probably a good thing because the paint would otherwise scratch off. Then you have the mounting instructions for the wings, as well as using and putting together that stand. And to show you, she can actually stand on her own, although it is a bit of a struggle, although that comes with small feet and everything. And I'd also like to show you how these go together because of the way that this thing is shaped. So it can only go in one way, and that's good because it's nice and secure that way. When you're switching the hand, you have to be careful of this piece because it is separate and it will pop off. And if you lose track of it, of course, you may end up with it getting lost. So sandwiching it with your fingers is probably a good tactic to have. Make sure the frilly part is where it's supposed to be. And just like that, you have a switch hand. Right. It's pretty simple and straightforward to switch around the face pieces. These premium sort of anime figures, line up that big peg, that on, put the fringe back in, and now she's angry at someone, probably Kirito. I'm finding that stand to be quite deceptively fragile. It just broke off again, and I'm using the cement again to get that back on. But if you wanted to use the wings but not the stand for whatever reason, even though I'm not sure why you would, because she does have trouble standing without it, but you can just do like that, although that means that you have that sticking out from the back, but you can still use the wings that way and hopefully get her to balance somehow. It's trickier because now the wings are in the way of the back of her hair, and that's going to send more weight back again. Okay. I thought I was going to knock her down right there, but she's standing on her own perfectly well. So that's something that you can do as well. Appearance-wise, this looks like a very good representation of Asuna in her Undine avatar from ALO 2. And it's got nice faithful coloration, the blue for her hair as well as for her tunic, which also has these kind of metallic gray, almost gunmetal gray buckles here and there, as well as the darker blue lining. It does reference quite heavily her Knight of the Blood Oath uniform, even though the meaning behind that changed due to the ending from the Aincrad arc. And you still got all of these nice paint apps and sculpting, especially in her face and her eyes, which you also saw earlier. And her sleeves here and there are also nicely well done, although as I said earlier, you have this cuff which is free floating, so you have to be careful not to lose that. And there are some tricky spots like the back of her head, as well as anything that you're not always supposed to see. But otherwise, it is well sculpted and well done. I'd also like to quickly draw attention to the detail on her wand, as well as on her sword, both of which are very nicely detailed and painted. Looks like what it's supposed to be. They look like a wand and they look like a sword. It's nice to see that kind of detail. So you've got it in everything: the wands, the scabbard, the hilt. As to this figure's articulation, it's somewhere in the middle, as it does have some limits due to the limited cuts and bends as well as the clothes. When you have the wings in, whether on the stand or not, the hair goes up to there, but only down to that much. If you want the hair to go down further when it's not blocked by the wings, you have to take them off. The wings themselves can go up like that, out like that, and down almost all the way, so like they're not being used. This one go down as well as up. If I take that out, you can see the hair going down like that. And the hinge is underneath the ponytail. The head can go down that far. And of course these are flexible plastic, so they bend out of the way, although they might also get stuck in a certain position. Head can go up pretty far if you're bending the hair back as well. So you could get a pretty good flight pose out of this. You have the shoulder joint. Arm goes up that far and around, if I'm not losing track of where it is. Elbow joint goes that far, as well as swivel. The standard figma joint for the wrist, swivel and turn. You can get it pointed pretty much anywhere you want to. Abs, no crunch. Or a little bit of crunch actually. There is a joint there in the stomach. Go back that far. Forward, not really, which is why I thought there wasn't there. As well as side to side tilt. There is nothing in the waist. These flaps can move out that far, but then you start getting the risk of bending those permanently. There is a hip swivel sort of in the leg, standard T-bar, stop looking up her skirt. Because the legs are only joined there and there is no cut in the thigh or thigh highs, this is the only point at which you can turn the leg, and articulation there is limited. And you have a good bend over at the knee. However, you can only go up so far due to the skirt. Going back, you do encounter this skirting, but the leg can only go back that far anyway. Slight forward bend for whatever reason. Pretty much non-existent ankle tilt. Like the toe can go all the way down that way, forward really far, and of course spin 360. This is your standard Figma stand, and bend and turn all the ways that you want it to. Although due to the condition of the joints, it may have limits as to what it can actually hold up. You want the scabbard on that belt loop because it's just made out of a flexible material. You just feed it in and it rests like that. So overall, this is a fairly good figure despite some limits in articulation. It would be worth the value in certain ways, and especially if you like either the series character or even just the design. And it comes with some pretty good accessories, and I do appreciate the fact that Max Factory and Good Smile, they included hands with the rings on the fingers. They didn't have to include that as a detail, but they did. And of course the wings that any fan of the ALO arcs of SAO would be looking forward to. So you got the wings, and you've got a way to stick them in without the stand, even though it would probably be better if it was less obtrusive than that, but you can cut that down if you so desire. And of course the two faces for a little bit variety: determined face, smiling face, shouting face. So you've got some good variety and playability with this figure, as well as all the usual stuff that you would expect out of Max Factory and Good Smile Company. Just their quality, articulation, and detail, which I believe are excellent. The only real downside I think to this figure is the limited articulation in the legs. You know, I can get over some unsightly joints, but not being able to move a swordswoman the way a swordswoman should be able to be moved, you know, due to her athletic ability and her speed, especially with Asuna, since speed is one of her defining characteristics. You would want to be able to move her, get her into poses that express her speed, and you kind of can. So you can work around that and still have a very good figure for your collection. Definitely I will recommend this if you can find her on sale. She's definitely easier to find right now than Kirito's ALO form, and I do like it and recommend it. I think where I got this was Ami. For comparison, how about Figma Fate T Harlone? And you can sort of see what I mean by fantastic weapons. In standard size RG Exia, very non-standard Star Wish, and of course the rather expensive Gore Magala. As you saw her originally in her own review. That about does it for this Figma figure review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, what else you want to see me review, please let me know in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe to show your support, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!